KIA right now between 8chan and KIA, specifically GG Revolt.
Really?
They've been brigading and sending messages to random users saying that the KIA is censoring posts, trying to, I guess, sow discord.
That's funny. Like I find the whole inter-board drama between I don't like to call things drama, but in this case it pretty much is. I find that whole thing to be just hilarious because it's like my board is better than your board, but we're really starting on an off-topic subject here. Hello, we're live and we're here to talk about. Hold on one second, please. Okay, we are live and we are talking about the current chaos that is happening at Reddit because it is currently on fire and the users are mad as hell. Everyone is upset for various reasons. Various subreddits have been censored, and the latest happening was one of the Reddit admins, who was very helpful and instrumental in setting up AMAs, was let go without notice, and this caused a lot of subreddits to go to private. Some still are. Many have decided to open up again after talks with the administration, but the whole situation for any Redditor right now is really crummy. I have links to a few articles in the description, one written by What the Fuck Magazine, who I have here as one of my guests, and also a video by Harmful Opinions, which is a YouTube channel which I really like and I recommend go watching. It's to get into the crust of the issue, basically to get into the crust of the issue, it really does seem like Reddit is shooting itself in the foot, and it's hilarious to watch, and it's also could be a very good change from this kind of safe space mentality over into a more free speech mentality. Because right now what I see happening across social media is a lot of websites are trying to have say over what you can and cannot say, and they're getting away with it too because because while the First Amendment does protect your free speech rights against the government, it does not protect your rights against corporations. And this is the current situation that I see. This is the current situation I think the internet faces, and we can either win by having the people decide for themselves, or we can lose, and everyone who wants to say something controversial will have to go to darknet or something like that.
Well, it's pretty much it's pretty much in favor of corporate interests now, and I believe, and this sounds a little dopey, but I believe that Aaron Swartz was a fucking soothsayer when it comes to this stuff, because before he died, one of his biggest things that he talked about was how corporations are censoring the internet. Fucking dog. But corporations are censoring the internet now, and it's happening, and I don't know how to stop it other than just talking about it. That's all that I know how to do.
Talking about it actually does help because it raises awareness to these issues, because most people don't know. A lot of people are simply in the dark about a lot of these issues, and they don't even know stuff that's happening with like things that they use every day, like Facebook and Twitter. They just use the normal thing, and they go about their activities, but it's not really a big concern for them because it starts small and then it works its way up as they keep on pushing these new policies and stuff like that. And pundits keep on pushing this threat narrative of basically, oh, there's this boogeyman out there called Anon, and they're going to destroy everything if we don't have special rules in place. And people are slowly giving up more and more of their freedoms. Not always at a corporate scale either, sometimes at a government scale. Like this revenge porn scare, I think the reaction to it is completely unwarranted, where basically they want the government to step in and regulate things. I find this to be an issue for a couple of reasons. One, because in the majority of cases, I don't believe it's the result of anonymous users, and the second reason being the government getting involved is just going to open up more litigation and lawsuits, which lawyers and government will benefit a lot from, and prison systems will benefit from, but people themselves won't benefit from it, and I don't believe it's going to really protect anyone from these kind of things that happen. And I think that the people responding to this are overreacting to these circumstances. Like, I'm in no way saying that revenge porn is cool or anything like that. I think it's awful, but I don't think it should be a specific crime in its own right. I think it has to be gone through on existing laws already. Because if you hack into someone's webcam, for instance, which is like the scariest instance of this, that in and of itself is already a crime. You can already prosecute that person on that basis, as an example. but that's a little bit off topic here. What? Getting back to the issue of like the Reddit censorship and stuff like that. What do you think? Do you think that the Reddit do you think that the Reddit revolt is going to keep going? Like, do you think it's just going to be something that just dies, or do you think it's going to keep going? It's going to be like a kind of an ongoing thing, like the Gamergate controversy has been.
It's kind of hard to tell, really.
Yeah.
At this point, because I mean, there's not really any more groups out there more passionate than us, really. Because it's like we just kind of pretty much just blazing the trail of this, I guess, online activism crap. But and really, not everybody is an activist. You know, not everybody gives a shit enough to do anything. And that's we're just kind of just hoping on the will of people that use Reddit that actually care about the site, that actually care enough to give a shit, just talk about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard to gauge right now, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going on 10 months of this Gamergate shit, man, and I'm just burned out anymore.
Yeah, the Gamergate stuff is really burning me out as well, if I'm going to be completely honest about it. But I think that people are just like not really doing enough. Like people just don't like talking about. Like I said, talk about it is good because it raises awareness, it raises critical thinking. But what else I think is happening is people are just kind of complacent in just tweeting, just sending emails, and they don't really want to do things like build their own websites and build alternatives to the press outlets they have they take issue with. Those are things that really do matter, and a lot of investigative work has also taken a backseat as well. And when it comes to the Reddit revolt stuff, I think that anyone participating in the Reddit revolt can take some cues from Gamergate and dig into these people, see where the connections lie, see what conflicts of interest they pose, see what laws they might be breaking, see where exactly the shady practices are coming from, and really and work with other people to get that information out there as much as possible. Then you can do things like, that's when email campaigns actually do become effective. Because one idea I hear floating around is to contact the investors of Reddit and tell them exactly what's up. And say, hey, you know, maybe this isn't the best company to be associated with.
It's hard to tell anymore. You know, like I said, it's just there's just so much shit going on. I'm just trying to I just try to follow it the best I can.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
There's also another thing people can do and have been doing is pushing VOAT more and more.
Mm-hmm.
That's a website that's essentially a clone of Reddit, but the benefit is they're not Reddit. Their administration is privately owned by some guys in Germany. They also have a bunch of policies and stuff, and they're really user focused as opposed to Reddit, which is turning more and more into a top-down approach. This, to me, is it makes it a good alternative on that basis, although I do think they have more work to do, like adding features that Reddit doesn't have, such as, why can't I make a post on Reddit that has an image embedded in the post? That's a question I want to know. That should have been a feature day one, but for some reason you're not allowed to do that. You have to put a link in someplace like Imager, which is a sister site to Reddit now, and that's kind of just silly to me, and that's another reason why people don't like Reddit.
Yeah, because it makes you go to another site to see a picture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like what the fuck, man.
Yeah.
It'll eventually come out in the wash, I believe. You know, it's like we was talking about earlier. You know, it's like you brought up an excellent point. It's like they're using Ellen Powell basically as a scapegoat right now.
Oh yeah, that they are.
Big time. You know, and it's like they got everybody talking about her, about how she's the reason that Reddit is shit. You know, and the thing is a lot of these issues predate Powell by years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like all of these issues that caused these moderators to go dark last night, they predate Powell big time. You know, and it's like what do you do? You know, so like how do you approach this situation?
Like I said, take cues from what Gamergate did that worked. Don't do what they did that was bad. Like the last thing I think people need to do really is identify as a Reddit revolter, because that would just be like the same sort of cancer that, yeah, it would be like, oh, like we gotta support our image, and we gotta improve PR, and we gotta do all this other stuff, and we gotta kick out the rebels in our movement, and we gotta make sure that that doesn't work. And the thing about these PR guys is they don't see that you're never gonna garner good PR from the media. You gotta.
Oh God, no, you're not.
No.
Never will. I mean, gamers alone never had good PR.
Oh yeah.
You know, because we talk shit. Gamers love to talk shit. You know, and that's the thing. It's like that's what being a fucking gamer is. Anybody that's ever played PvP knows that gamers love to talk shit. You know, and that's the thing. And it's like you can't get good PR out of that. You know?
No.
And it's like there's this subtle push that I've noticed the past couple of months is where people are trying to push out shit posters, and they're trying to push out Chan people and all this, and I'm just like, no, that's not the solution to your problem.
Even Roguestar, before he got banned, was advocating for people to, oh well, we shouldn't be shit posting. We have to basically put in special rules now that SPJ is a thing, which that's another issue. Like, I'm not going to talk about SPJ tonight because I've been promising an article for the past few days about it. Yeah, but what I will say about the PR stuff, no, you're not. The only way you're going to get good PR, you really want good PR, build your own media.
Exactly.
Yeah, start doing what. Take a cue from what Loot Gamer did. Take a cue from what Harmful Opinions did. Take a cue from who else is there?
What we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm running the gaming section of our site. You know, it's like I'm doing gaming and tech.
Mm-hmm.
And we got multiple writers doing other stuff too. And of course, you know, anybody that wants to write anything, just go to our site. We got a submit button right there. You know?
Yeah.
And we're taking all kinds of people. You know, we want everybody.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't matter what the fuck you want to write about. You know, it don't.
Yeah.
We'll find a place for it.
Yeah, I would submit some articles myself, but I already have my own website, so it's kind of like, yeah. Although I should add you as like an affiliate link in the links section.
Yeah, if you want to, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll get with my web guy and see about adding other affiliate links and stuff in on our homepage and our articles.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because we kind of got it filled up right now, where we've got like our Twitter feed, and we got our Facebook feed, and we did have our Google AdSense, but it wasn't doing very well, so we kind of removed it for now.
Mm-hmm.
And we got we're learning. We're learning how to weather this storm of stuff, you know. Yeah. And the thing is like for the past year or so that I've been with this company doing this online stuff, is we've been basically focused on Facebook. You know, posting links and stuff on Facebook. And this and our website, you know, this is actually a fairly new venture where we're trying to focus on making our own content.
Mm-hmm.
That's shit. That's half the fun of being in media, man. Is creating content.
Yeah.
You know, I like doing it. It's fun. Shit posting's fun.
Yeah.
I'm doing the journalistic form of shit posting.
Yeah, I do love a bit of shit posting myself.
Mm-hmm.
To answer Batman in the chat, Satan, I don't know where he is. I asked him to come on last night. I'll see about shooting him a DM if he wants in. It's always good to have him.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah. He's always good. He's always cool to have on streams. Yeah, so like I don't even get why people are shit posting. It's like, come on. Everyone does it. Everyone. If you're gonna be saying that, like the moment that you start complaining about shit posting is when you kind of act like a stereotypical social justice warrior at that point, because then you're just basically saying, I'm offended. How dare you offend me by saying this? Like there is a lot of that. But the Reddit revolt stuff seems to be going pretty strong at the moment. I mean, it has kind of subsided, but that the same thing can be said for the Gamergate consumer revolt as well. Mm-hmm. So it's something that people have to be patient on.
Let's see.
All right, we may be getting Xavier Mendel in here, who's known for having dropped the Reddit Talk mod links.
Who? Yeah, he's an ex-plebit mod, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, maybe he can give us some more insight in the situation.
Nice.
Yeah. And also...
I believe KIA was supposedly doing... They were supposedly reaching out to that Victoria to try to get her to do an AMA. I haven't heard any update on it.
You mean Victoria, the one that was fired?
Yeah, the one that was fired.
Yeah, I actually found her Twitter account, and I actually sent her a message to see if she would respond. She seems to have gone MIA from Twitter, so I don't know if I'll get a response. Probably not, because they're too low profile.
Oh,
but it would be nice to get her side of the story on this.
Oh,
because,
yeah. I'd say that there's a lot of shit that's went down. You know, it's like, well, for instance, the only articles that have come out are just kind of speculating of like, wow, this is happening, wow, this is happening, you know. And it's like nobody has gotten her side of the story yet.
Yeah. That's something.
I think that once it comes out, that'll definitely be interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and now we have Xavier on. How you doing, Xavier?
I'm doing pretty good. How about
okay.
you?
I'm good. Can you give us any insight onto like the goings-ons of Reddit and maybe fill in some details people are missing out on?
It's kind of a big question. Details everyone's missing out on. I don't know. There's quite a lot to consider in the back of things that have just been going on for years leading up to this, mostly in the form of moderators being pissed off at admins for one reason or another, mostly lack of communication and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to John earlier about. It's like everybody's trying to blame Ellen Powell for the latest thing. It's like, but no, these issues with the moderators and admins, it predates Powell for years, you know.
Mm-hmm. For a bigger response to that, I did an interview earlier with someone going by the name John Galt or Atlas Nodded or something. So he just put up a video about. He asked me the same question, so I can link that in the thing. I just
post a link in the side chat here, and I will put it into the YouTube chat. Unfortunately, with YouTube chat, for some reason, links are inconsistent of when you can and cannot post them, so you got to put spaces in between there, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because a popular theory that's going on concerning Ellen Powell, like, I agree with the popular consensus that Ellen Powell, she is severely incompetent at her job, to put it mildly. But the thing is, the rumor is, and it's not substantiated yet, but there is some good ponderance of evidence on it, that Ellen Powell is a lightning rod of sorts, and that she's covering for the other CEOs, investors of the company Reddit.
I don't agree with that. There really aren't that many people involved in Reddit at that level. It's just her and Alexis Ohanian, and Alexis Ohanian wouldn't have pissed off a bunch of people by saying, the popcorn stuff if he wanted her to act like a lightning rod. The truth is, she's just incompetent, and he doesn't seem to... He's not exactly great with PR, I guess. It's not like there's no conspiracy behind it of her being a lightning rod or any plan behind that. She's just a bad CEO.
She's just a dumbass, basically. To put it bluntly.
So you would find at this time it's more accurate to say this is all the fault of Ellen Powell, and it doesn't have to do with the other CEOs or other corporate interests in possibly involved with Reddit. Those are just speculation.
It's speculation. Reddit is owned by Advanced Publications, which is a giant media conglomerate, and to my knowledge, they've never messed with Reddit in any way. Reddit has been influenced in some way by its partner sites, such as Ars Technica and It's, different sites owned by Advance. But if the fault is going to be on anyone, it's going to be on Ellen Pao. And regardless of whether or not Ellen Pao is the one who specifically, personally did all this stuff, being the CEO, the fault falls on her anyway. But because of DACVAC's story, the admin who was let go for having cancer, his story of it happening with Ellen Pao specifically and personally leads me to believe that she is as bad as people think she is.
Wow. That's pretty crazy.
All right. Well, then I guess that is more likely at the moment. Like I said, that was just rumors. I don't like spreading speculation around. I'd rather have something concrete and substantial. But it could be something worth investigating further, in my opinion. Especially if people want to take action against Reddit. Like, if people are of the opinion that Reddit needs to just go away and something like FOAT or another alternative needs to replace it, while you can't really do something like Operation Disrespectful Nod, because I don't think that would actually work. What I think you can do is look to future investors and show them what's going on in the situation and present a case that investing in Reddit may not be the wisest of economic decisions.
If you want to stop people from investing, that's really the only way you could do it, is making it an economic thing rather than anything about censorship or stuff like that. Because really, people in Silicon Valley don't care if you're being censored. They don't care what you think should be done, because it's not a rare thing in Silicon Valley startups and companies to act like this. But if you make it an economic decision, then it becomes a much more valid case. But I don't really think that's a much of a problem. You see, Reddit already got $50 million. They're going to stay afloat for a while anyway, because they probably don't have that much operating costs.
Right.
Really, the best thing you can do is contact advertisers, which there's a lot of them, so contact the big ones. Encourage people to go to vote. Essentially, you have to take the community, because even if they lose advertisers, they still have the community. That's what Reddit's product is. If you get rid of the product, which is the community, the links, the voting, etc., you have no Reddit. So
what's like right now at WTF, we're working on an app right now that is basically a hybrid of Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like all that shit, and it's adult friendly. And we're not wanting to talk about bullshit. It's just going to be pretty much just, I want to say pretty much all porn, but it's not. It's hard to explain. Like I said, man, the app goes beta in about 3 months, and we're definitely it's definitely something I haven't seen done before, and it's coming together quite well. Like, we've got investors and everything, so it's definitely going to be interesting how this is all going to turn out. And
I really
with Reddit imploding, it only helps us out pretty much, because people are going to want to have a place to go, So
there's no lack for places to go. I mean, Vote exists. There's Snapsu and Hubsky and all those other places. I mean, they could even go back to Dig. I mean, if you think about it. Reddit has a lot of people who are capable of finding other places. It's not a lack of that. And while your service might receive a boost from Reddit going down, I really don't think it's going to have any help to Reddit going down itself.
No. Maybe I phrased that differently. I don't think Reddit is going to go down per se, but there's definitely going to be a lot more interest in like other, like you said, in other places that you can go. Because it's like centralizing stuff like this always has. It always has like kind of
absolute power corrupts absolute.
Exactly. Negative implications. Like centralizing stuff like this always has negative implications.
Right. It's part of the reason why. Yeah. It's part of the reason why I'm very skeptical of Patreon and PayPal, because those two have become like the financial arbitrators of the internet in essence. There's a lot of services you cannot get except through PayPal. And I've noticed that a lot of people producing content on the internet have been using Patreon as a crutch, especially YouTubers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you will never see me using Patreon for like any reason, especially not with this YouTube channel, because I think that when it comes to YouTube, if you really want to be successful in YouTube, and to be perfectly honest, I have no aspiration for any kind of success in YouTube. I really don't care. The videos are monetized because there's just no reason not to, and also because I asked people around, nobody objected, so there's that. But when it comes to using Patreon, is like the moment you like subscribe to them, you got to remember, Patreon is basically set across. They fall into this same kind of censors type of mentality with the community guidelines. That's a big concern. I actually wrote an article about that, and there was no reason to do that. The only reason they did it was to kick off Frederick Brennan and Weave. I forget Andrew Amheimer. I can't remember his name. And in the article, I show that they already they could have already cut him off for business for like branding reasons, but instead they chose this kind of social justice-y reasoning for getting rid of him, and that should raise a lot of alarm bells. Now, part of the rumors that are going around is that Reddit has connections with PayPal and or Facebook. Is there any truth to those rumors, or are people are people spewing nonsense?
Well, in Silicon Valley, everyone has connections to each other at the higher levels. I mean, it's not unlikely that Ellen Powell knows people from PayPal and Facebook from various other venture capital stuff going on.
Well, Kleiner Perkins, they're one of the top representatives for Facebook.
Yeah, she worked at Kleiner Perkins, so it's possible she knows people from all over the place.
Yeah, Kleiner Perkins, they're like one of the top, and like I said, one of the top investors in Facebook. Actually, if I remember right, I believe either that or they do something that's like real big with influential people at Facebook. Like I don't know if they handle Mark Zuckerberg's PR or some shit like that. I can't remember exactly how they do.
Kleiner Perkins, they're a law firm, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So there actually is some truth in that part, where there are connections with these other companies. Now,
I don't know. I mean, there might be. I don't really know Ellen Powell, so.
Mm-hmm. So my question, a follow-up question to that is there reason why Reddit may be doing things which are unfavorable with their user base, specifically for capitalistic reasons, basically to improve connections with these other companies and to basically get more investors or something like that? Because they may.
It's a pretty common tactic to clean house before you sell something, before you sell a company, and it all really does make sense. I mean, Yishan brought all the employees to San Francisco, getting rid of remote employees as far as he can because it makes it more favorable to purchasers. Get rid of unnecessary staff, such as like the Reddit gifts guy. Get rid of any weird overhead stuff. I mean, like getting rid of DACVAC. Get rid of any objectionable content to make it seem more friendly to anyone looking to buy. I mean, it's not impossible that they'll sell it before the end of the year. As for who would buy it, I have no idea.
So this pattern of behavior is reflective of a company looking to sell.
I mean, it might be. It seems rather likely. But if that's the case, then
fishy.
If that's the case, then it wouldn't just be Ellen Powell on board. It would be both Ellen Powell and people from Advanced Publications. So I don't know that she would be able to put, brakes on the train if she wanted to. I'm not entirely sure. It would depend on the company organization.
Right.
That's interesting. I didn't think
Now, getting back to an earlier point that was brought about Ellen Powell being the source of all this, if Ellen Powell were to resign or get in some kind of legal shenanigans or something like that and just leave Reddit, or for whatever reason, would that fix Reddit's problems?
No. No,
Um,
it
can,
wouldn't.
can you elaborate on that?
You can go
Me
first
or
if you want.
Either of you can answer it, or
Well, I think that the underlying problems is that the community doesn't trust Reddit. So the idea that just getting rid of Ellen Pao, I mean, it might appease some people, but a lot of people are extremely distrustful of the moderation of the site in general. Not that these events have happened, the darkening and Reddit revolt.
why do they like this sounds like something that has been a long, deep-seated problem rather than just the result of recent occurrences. Why is it that like the Reddit community itself by and large hates Reddit? Is it like a 4chan thing where everyone hates Moot and but it wasn't really that much of a problem?
I can't answer that. I only joined for Gamergate. That's it.
Gotcha.
well, if you're asking me, people have distrusted Reddit ever since I started. I mean, going on Reddit, and it kind of started because of the culture shift. Whenever I first started on Reddit, it was very much a site for programmers, college students, stuff like that, because it was made by two like computer science students, I think, in college, and the culture reflected that. It was all for your average Reddit user was like like an early 20s guy who was in a STEM field in college, and that was like the basic thing. And people seemed to like that, and it was a very I would like the content itself was more high quality. But as Spez and Nothing kind of grew up, they started taking Reddit to different places. So eventually they sold Reddit. They hired staff and all that stuff, and the culture shifted from tech geeks to anyone and everyone that they could get for advertising. And once that happened, people thought of it as sort of selling out the site. Some people, anyway. A lot of people didn't really mind. But it all kind of started then, because beforehand, everything was going pretty good. But that kind of started off the end. From that time, bad decisions and weird changes just compounded the problem until you'd have the massive bad things would happen. But that only started in the last few years. Before that, you could see what decisions they were making and how they were coming to those conclusions, and you could say, I don't agree with them, but I understand why they did this. But now, like Ellen Powell firing DACVAC for having cancer, you could say, I can't really see why they did this, I don't agree with them, and this is horrible.
That is so fucked up.
It is.
It's like, how do you do that? Why?
Yeah, I especially don't understand how she could do that, because I was a moderator in our games for a very long time, and the two admins that I came to know, well, of some of the admins that I came to know very well, DACVAC was one of them. We didn't talk all that much because he was busy with real life things, but he always seemed to be a very nice person. So he was not only a nice person, as that he wasn't an asshole. He was a decent person. So
I don't know. I guess you gotta be willing to fucking punch babies or some shit to fucking be Reddit brass. Well, I don't know.
Well,
It kind of seems like the shittier person that you can be, the more successful you can be in Silicon Valley.
Well, yeah, most CEOs are sociopaths.
Fucking horrible.
But it is definitely a long time coming for this kind of thing, to a point where I suggested this specific blackout kind of situation a very long time ago. Like, I think it was a couple months after I got into Mod Talk, so I had become a moderator of our games. I suggested this blackout for the exact same reasons: lack of communication, lack of mod tools, lack of pretty much everything useful, and as protest of whatever stupid decision they had made at that point. It's been a very long time coming.
Yeah, so now it's kind of like a thing that's just been bubbling up for years, just similar to Gamergate, really, if you think about it. But not as, I guess, not as big of a backlash as Gamergate was.
But
Still pretty big.
the problem with that is that they saw it coming a very long way away.
Oh
They
yeah.
might not have seen it coming immediately, but once they knew what was happening, they knew exactly how to stop it.
Hmm.
They knew that you don't have to go after every single community that's blacked out. You only have to go over after the really big ones. IMA, Pix, Ask Reddit. Once
Hmm.
those three go back up, like stop going dark, everyone else will follow suit. And it just so happens that they share a lot of moderators. So we really only have to go after. You have to find what moderators are shared between these three subreddits and how, like, where are they on the mod list. So you go after the top people on those lists. So in the end, you only have to go after 3 or 4 people. And
Which sucks.
with the innate trust that moderators tend to have of Reddit brass, uh, it's very easy. You just say, yeah, sure, we hear your complaints. We're going to do this. But it's going to take some time. So unless you want to be darked out for months at a time, then open it up. And they will always say yes because they have no spine. Uh, so they knew exactly how to fix the problem.
Well, the thing is too, is moderators don't get paid. You know.
Well, most of them don't.
Well, majority, yeah. Like I said, majority of them don't.
Reddit doesn't
Right.
pay the moderators, but
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. It's just like Reddit itself, as a company, doesn't pay moderators. You know, and
yeah,
it's like,
Reddit
To
doesn't
my
deem
under-
that necessary.
Yeah. To my understanding, there's certain legal considerations in employing moderators, which is why they don't. Which is why websites don't pay moderators. Not just that they don't have. It's not necessarily that they don't have money. A lot of them don't. But now with
That's not really the case. A lot of websites pay moderators. For instance, I'm pretty sure the Blizzard forums pay their moderators, but it's not really a legal concern. It's simply that they don't have to. You can go to any forum and find free moderation, no matter where you go and what kind of forum it is.
everybody's
So
willing to be a janitor.
exactly, everyone's willing to be a janitor for free, so why pay?
Mhm.
That's capitalism, and you know that's
Do you
just how
think
it is.
do you think that moderators should maybe start some kind of a protest where they should ask for money, or maybe set up some sort of like a union or something like that?
If they deserve the money, yeah. If they were doing their jobs properly, I'd say they deserved it, but they're not doing their jobs properly. I've spent the last year pointing out exactly how they're not doing their jobs properly. Moderators are supposed to be unbiased and neutral and fair and respectful and all that.
I agree with that sentiment.
I mean,
Now,
if they're doing it directly, yeah, pay them. But I can't name a single moderator at that level of the top default thing level that actually does their job correctly and fully.
Now, a few questions that come to mind. First, this one's from the chat. Someone asked if it was you who leaked that recent pastebin that I have linked in the description of the Mod Talk leaks. Can you confirm or deny that?
I wasn't the one who leaked that. There are a couple people in Mod Talk and Default Mods and various other subreddits that give me information when I'm not able to get in there myself, and I currently don't know which of... I have a few people in Mod Talk that I know quite well still, and I don't know which of them leaked it, but it might not have been any of them. It might have been someone I don't know that well, but no, it wasn't me. I've been a
Okay.
bit too busy lately to do anything like that.
Okay, so whoever leaked that, it's an unknown at this point. Do we have any now? Whenever you have a leak of an IRC cabal or some private group like that, where it's all text and just dumped into a pastebin, the question comes up of accuracy of that, because that stuff can be forged. Now,
it could, but I looked through it basically. It does look very realistic. I know all of these people, and they're acting exactly as I would expect them to act.
Okay. Yeah, I myself say that given the timing of this release and the fact that it would take a lot of concerted effort with very, very little gain to release it, I would say that this can be considered a reliable source for this particular leak. But that is something someone will say, well, that's circumstantial evidence. It can't be substantiated.
It doesn't take that much effort to leak this kind of thing. I didn't notice until now that they were talking about me in that leak. That's pretty funny.
That is funny.
Xavier Mendel took Mod Talk on Vote. Yeah, I registered the subreddit for Mod Talk on Vote. just to be a dick about it.
Nice.
Yeah, but it doesn't take that much effort. Right now I have a script. I have some stuff set up where I just type in the phrase and it gives me every line with context in another file. That I can just, with all the personal information and stuff like that removed, so I can just, I mean, it takes me maybe 2 minutes to get a leak together if I wanted to search for a specific phrase or a list of phrases. I mean, not everyone has that kind of setup, but it really isn't that much of a problem. The problem of taking the time comes when you need to manually scour everything. I've released, the last thing I released before, or no, the one before that, had 36 or so thousand lines of text, and people demanded that I go through every single line by hand and make sure there was no personal information. And I told them to go fuck themselves, because I don't have that kind of time. It takes a very, very long time to do that stuff unless you hire some kind of, I don't know, sweatshop.
Or at least get
Yeah,
hire an assistant.
For me personally, the only thing I would censor out is PPI, personally protected information, because you can't get in legal trouble for that.
Oh yeah, and I did.
Emphasis on can, though, because there's a common misconception that doxing is illegal. It's only illegal if it poses an actual threat to identity theft.
Well, the funny thing about the whole personal information, the moderators who were affected by the Mod Talk leaks demanded that I go back through and remove all personal information, which I did. But those same moderators are the people who were cheering on when my own personal information got posted.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, my name isn't exactly a rare thing. It's literally just my username. But, like, after one of the Mod Talk leaks, I really cannot remember which one, maybe 2, I don't know. Someone took the time to go through various, like, history and records in order to dox my niece. And I traced that back to one of 2 people, and those same people were both people who demanded I remove all personal information, and how dare I dox someone, and all that. And the whole time I'm sitting there like, man, I couldn't even believe this guy. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Sargon's Law.
That's not even two-faced, man. That's three-faced. You've reached another level,
If I was in that position, I would bring the fury of hell upon that person.
Oh, and I did another Mod Talk leaks after that, directly aimed at them.
Now, a couple questions I had. First one being, when you first proposed the blackout of subreddits, what was the reaction then, and what made them change their minds later on?
Oddly enough, I've proposed it a few times, like, I don't know, maybe 10 times over the years, and people always seem to be in support of the idea, but no one ever does it because, I don't know, there's always someone out there who will say no to it. I mean, they're beholden to the admins. They will listen to anything they say. So fucking over the admins is not something that they ever want to do. Not to mention, the top moderators of a lot of subreddits tend to be closer to the administration than the lower moderators who hang out in Mod Talk and all that, and had originally agreed with me.
Oh, of course, man. It's like once you get that rub from people that are like way more influential than you are, it's intoxicating, and people don't want to give it up. They don't want to let go of that of that little dangling carrot in front of their face, because it's like they've always got this in their head. It's like, what if? It's like, what if I cut off this relationship with this person? What if they are able to get me a job in media? Or what if this? What if that? And it's like, sometimes it's all bullshit.
That's actually happened. Drunken Economist was a Reddit mod for a long time and pretty well known. And he got a job at Reddit because of his connection to the admins. And I mean, yeah, he had a pretty good resume apparently, but if he had been some random guy, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Oh yeah.
Someone asked me in the comments, Xavier, what are your thoughts on mods to bans to be able to IP ban? I mean, honestly, I've probably asked for the same thing because dealing with spammers, I mean, like automated spammers, can get kind of rough whenever they make new accounts over and over again, because shadow banning never helps. Even if they get shadow banned some places, like whenever I was on our games, we had this like Taiwan or something casino site that every single day they would make a new account and start spamming again. shadow banning never helped. Nothing really helped against that. So I'd ask like, hey, let us IP ban certain accounts for spam and stuff. And that's really the only way I could see that feature being used appropriately. Because I agree that shadow banning should be existing. It should exist for spammers. That's the original idea behind the feature, and it works well for spammers. It really does. And IP banning can work well for spammers. The problem is that they're used for users. And because the features are so abused on regular users, I don't agree that they should have shadow banning.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's people doing it. It's people using them, and sometimes people are assholes.
Yeah. The thing about shadow banning is it's extremely deceptive, and I don't see that as an appropriate response to somebody misbehaving. Like, if there's an actual violation they're committing against the rules, like it's not just an opinion they have that's considered controversial or whatever, then that person should be told outright, hey, what you did is wrong, and here's your ban, and here's how long it's going to last, maybe indefinitely, and that should be how it's handled. But
exactly.
The thing about shadow banning is, oh, well, you don't even know that you're banned, so that you can just keep posting, and it's just being a dick to the user base. That to me is not fair.
Worse than that, if you really, it gets a bit worse than that because you realize that, like on our games, we would shadow ban people all the time. We had a massive, unbelievably large ban list of users. A lot of them, no one knew why they were banned, and whenever I look past before I continue. Moderators can also shadow ban in a way using auto moderator. They're also called auto mod bans. A lot of people say, mods can't shadow ban, only admins can. You should call it something else. I tend to refer to it as shadow bans just because that's what we used on our games. So whenever I speak of shadow bans from a mod perspective, it's more about the shadow banning from auto moderator. So anyway, we had this massive list of people who were shadow banned by auto moderator, and we didn't really know why most of them were banned at all. And no one went through the list and called them at any time. So people would get shadow banned for minor infractions, and they would just be banned forever without being told anything about it. And we would just say outright, like globally, if you think you're shadow banned, contact us via mod mail and we will fix it. We'll review and fix it. But people would contact us in mod mail, and I was the only one who ever responded to those things because I was the only one who ever wanted to fix it. The others were content with sitting in mod talk or the other mod room that we had and just making fun of the people, saying, "Oh, look, he's been commenting almost every day for months and months and months, and no one ever votes on him or replies to him. He gets
That is fucked up."
And they laugh at him, and it's all great fun for them. And I'm trying to solve this guy's problem, but I have to do it without making them think that I'm against the practice or anything. So a lot of the time, I would just quietly remove shadow bans from people without telling anyone, and just hope that they don't notice. And they never did because no one ever checked.
That sounds like a reasonable response to me. If they're basically quietly banning people without their knowledge, then I think quietly unbanning them without those people's knowledge is a fair response.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I would get caught in that, hey, what happened? Why can this guy post? I thought we shadow banned him, and that would be someone would throw a big fit and all that, but I really didn't care all that much because, I mean, when you do most of the work, who really cares? But it was a problem, it was especially a problem because we had one moderator, Forrestel, who's no longer a moderator there, who every day we would add up the stats using a script of how many moderator actions people had. And he would remove and ban and all that stuff just for the stats. He wanted to have the most stats, and it would be uncommon for him to go a week without probably 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 actions per week of all just removals and bans and whatnot.
Wow.
And some other moderators would have, I mean, as low as 100. And I'd still consider them active. Yeah, there were some that were inactive, but whatever. I usually teetered around 300 or so because I was active, I did a lot of work, but I didn't do anything that wasn't necessary. If someone's being a dick, I would just tell them, hey, stop being a dick. This is a warning. I'd ban them if they kept doing it, whatever. But Forrestel, he would see any infraction whatsoever and just permaban them. So our ban list got so big that even I couldn't keep up with, unbanning people who didn't deserve it. And tracking what caused the ban.
Hmm.
It got even worse because a lot of the time Demores, the resident admin, would shadow ban people site-wide for things that they did on the subreddit.
That's an inappropriate response to such like if someone like that just seems very draconian in nature, and
Seems like a dick practice.
it does, and I don't get why. Like what really confuses me is why would the mods and admins think that this kind of moderation practices are good? I mean, it's kind of like some similar or criticisms I've had of certain, well, actually mainly one, the Acid Man from 8chan, where basically you going ahead and just like
Well,
enforcing the law on people instead of like handling things through your community in a
you have
appropriate
to
way.
you have to stop seeing it as mods and people because they don't see it that way. They see it as a page of numbers, usernames, and the quieter they are, the better it is. They want people to be happy, but not really. They just want the place to seem happy. If they have to ban anyone who seems negative to make everyone else remaining seem happy, they will, and they're fine with that because they're not people; they're usernames, and that's how they look at it. They completely disconnect from the fact that there are people behind those usernames. They only reconnect that whenever, hey, let's make fun of them for, talking and not being listened to, or hey, how can we use this guy to our advantage, or hey, can I beg him for a job, or if you're an IGN journalist, because they actually worship IGN and Kotaku.
Jesus
As an
Christ.
aside, I don't know, are you aware of a journalist named Dan Stapleton?
No, elaborate.
Dan Stapleton worked at IGN in some position. I cannot remember what he did at IGN, but all the moderators there would keep track of whenever he posted. And whenever Dan Stapleton would make any comment whatsoever, especially in our games, Forstel or Pharmacies or PyMikey or whoever would go in to the mod IRC that everyone was in and yell, like just all caps, Dan! We'll paste the link, and then they would all go and then read his comment and then discuss why his comment was so good. Every single time he made a comment. They were so on his dick, it was unbelievable. And it was really creepy. And the same thing would happen for Steven Totilo of Kotaku. I don't know if you know who that guy is.
Oh, I know who he is. I think everyone knows who Steven Totilo is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we know Tortilla Chip pretty well.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with Steven Totilo, but I don't know. Steven Totilo, he was a very polite person, and all the times I've talked with him over mod mail and whatnot. But he's not. He didn't seem as like a. He didn't seem to be like a super special guy. You know what I mean? Not with the amount of attention that they were giving him.
Sounds like this information would go quite well on a website like Deep Freeze.
I'm actually really surprised there's nothing on Deep Freeze about Reddit. I mean, I don't know who runs Deep Freeze exactly. I don't keep up with that stuff, but guys, if you know, like, if you run Deep Freeze, I would be more than happy to help you fill out the Reddit portion of that site.
Oh, really?
As it happens,
You need to get a hold of Bone Golem.
Oh yeah, I know Bone Golem. Actually, interviewed him on this channel. I don't agree with every. Yeah, I don't agree with everything Bone Golem's been the way that I think. I do have some criticisms for Bone Golem's website, but for the most part, like I'd say 95% of it, pretty good job. And I can actually, like, if you want, I could actually send them that information on to Tillo and that other guy, because if they're basically, that sounds like friends helping friends. I think would go under cronyism.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at Deep Freeze right now, and like, there's a lot of, like, okay, just the first thing that I can see here, Ben Kuchera. I'm well aware of Ben Kuchera. I mean, he has 11 marks against him, and apparently that's like really bad compared to like everyone else. I'm trying to see who has the most. That's probably going to be like, Leigh Alexander. Leigh Alexander has 18. I could pick 24 mods who have more than 18 giant marks against them easily. Hell, I could probably pick one that could go into the hundreds without stopping. these people are really corrupt, and I'm really surprised that there's nothing on T-Freeze about it.
Yeah. I think it's an issue of like nailing down exactly where the corruption would lie. I think it's like I said, friends helping friends. I file it under cronyism somewhere.
Oh, hey, my outlet. I write for TechRaptor, and I'm pleased to see that there are no marks against it at all.
Really?
Apparently not.
Well, I do have some criticisms of TechRaptor, but that's something that I can probably expand upon on another stream.
I mean, I've got my own criticisms of TechRaptor, but I have criticisms of everything. I'm impossible to please, so.
Well, one thing that would really go a long way, if you could, there's an article, like, I already contacted the author on Twitter about this. There's an article that I found on the website that's a commentary piece, but there's a factual inaccuracy in it. It was the one about calling out call-out culture. Like, the author says that Ralph was thrown out of RavenCon. That didn't happen. Not even Ralph's claiming that. He was kicked out of the panel.
Oh yeah, he was kicked out of a panel. Okay.
Right, and I pointed this out on Twitter, and I provide sources from Ralph saying that he was just kicked out of the panel, but the author didn't bother to update a correction with that. And
you know who the author was?
I forget the author's name. Let me see if I can get up the article for you. But that disappointed me that they didn't bother to fix it after I pointed it out to them, because I can understand them making a mistake, but not correcting it, that's a no-no. And someone may say, well, oh, it's only a slight factual inaccuracy, but it's a factual inaccuracy nonetheless. And as a publication, even when it comes to writing commentary pieces, I don't really have an issue with that. What I do take issue is when you're not being factual about it. Actually, I do have some other issues, but that's kind of a tangent.
I would say instead of contacting the author, if the author doesn't do anything, contact Rutledge Doggett.
Yeah. Actually, I have the means of contacting him, so that shouldn't really be an issue. I think after the stream is over, I'll shoot him an email and say, hey, there's this issue here that I brought up months ago. Could you just?
Well, you might want to ask him like in a couple of days. Apparently, he's going to be on a boat for a couple of days, or for like a day or so. So I don't really. I don't talk to him all that much, but he is a very ethical person. I'm sure if you brought it up to him, he'd fix it.
Yeah. Like, I don't even think TechRaptor's problems stem from, malfeasance. I think they just stem from they're still learning, and over time they'll get better. That's what I think. I'm hoping that is the case.
Yeah, we are really still learning. I can't speak for the other writers, but personally, I mean, my experience in writing is not in journalism at all. Or even in game reviews. It's in interviewing people and satire, really, just comedy writing. I did a lot of horror writing, like writing horror stories, and I'm not exactly a journalism kind of guy. I'm not a journalist. Even though I now do the job as a journalist, I've interviewed people, I've investigated things, so you could technically call me a journalist. I have no idea what I'm doing. So, there's definitely a lot of room for growth.
I really don't think that's an issue, to be honest, because a lot of people get involved with the enthusiast press. They don't really have a lot of background experience, and they're just getting into writing and stuff. Some of them go on from there to actually go into more mainstream journalism. But the issue is, like, there are issues that come with that, but the lack of experience to me is an issue. But the fact that you don't call yourself a journalist, I think that goes a long way, because I think that it implies a certain degree of pedigree that a lot of writers do not have. And like I do my own writings on my own blog, jkellyblog.com. I don't call myself a journalist, but I do try to.
It's like I was talking about earlier, man. It's like we're pretty much, it's a journalistic form of shitposting what we're doing, basically.
Someone in chat says, "Watch people twist your words, Xavier." Oh, I'm very used to that. I actually did an interview when all this stuff started with Gamergate and all that, where the journalist, I say journalist in air quotes here, edited the interview to make me kind of look weirder or something. But I don't know what soundbite they're referring to. I don't know that I said anything bad. I am not a journalist.
Yeah, and if someone's going to, and this stream's going to remain publicly available, so if someone's going to take something from the stream and, use it out of context, I really don't care, because
I don't even either, because here's the thing, okay? People trying to use things out of context for me is fine, because although I say a lot of, weird stuff, I mean, if you wanted to take anything out of context, there are a lot of better places that you could take it from. But I'm fine with that because everyone knows that I'm just kind of like a weird guy and I say a lot of weird stuff. And whenever I say I'm not a journalist, someone is, oh, is it true that you're not a journalist? No, I'm not a journalist. I'm a writer. And even in that, I'm an amateur writer. I think I'm a pretty okay writer, but that's about it. People using things I say out of context, I don't really care, because the things that I say are true anyway. And if they want to use that to try and hurt me, well, I mean, the Reddit mods tried to hurt me, and
That didn't work.
that definitely did not work out well for them. But if you want to try the same thing that the Reddit mods have tried over and over and over and over again, then, I mean, I'm an American. I believe in letting people fail on their own.
Yeah, and when it comes to sort of cherry picking stuff, it makes the cherry picker look bad. It doesn't make the person that's cherry picking look bad. Usually, it becomes a wider issue when you have it in more mainstream stuff like news and media and stuff like that. But if some guy on the internet is saying a bunch of bullshit, you can just call him out on it and present the facts. Because as to quote someone who uses this phrase quite often, why would you lie on the internet?
Exactly. But, yeah, someone says, as a quote from me, I don't mind if people try to use me. I'm a weird guy and like weird stuff. Earlier today, I played D&D with 4 other people, me being the DM, them being players, and really, it's odd to find a D&D player who's not okay with saying some weird stuff, You can't describe the weird things that happen in that game without being able to say weird stuff, and if I'm okay with letting people sit in on that and hear that, I'm okay with whatever. I don't really believe in cherry picking because everything I say should be public record anyway. You should hold people accountable for that, especially because I now write for TechRaptor. Because I write for TechRaptor, you should be able to just dig in and hear everything that I say so that you have background on everything that I say officially. Whenever I review a game, you should be able to know that my grandpa isn't actually the lead developer.
Oh, but no. That's harassment nowadays. Looking into a journalist, that's harassment.
Yeah, I don't even believe in the whole harassment thing. I mean, yeah, people can harass me, okay, and that there's a difference between harassing and oh, my harassment, because so many journalists think, oh, he's looking in to see if I lied, harassment. Whereas me, it's oh, you're trying to harass me? Well, so long as you're not I don't know, following me home from work and shooting me. I don't know.
Well, to put some context in the harassment issue, anyone complaining about harassment should first look into the case of Amanda Todd, compare the situation, see if it matches up to hers, and if it doesn't, then you have no right to complain about harassment.
I mean, whenever I did
that's a very dark example, but I think it's appropriate because that's a person that was legitimately harassed, and the results were not pretty at all.
Whenever I did Mod Talk leaks, a lot of people said that Mod Talk leaks themselves and leaking was harassment, and that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard of because I don't know, compared to the other Reddit moderators, I'm just not as much of a pussy. I don't believe that harassment is saying something mean against someone. I believe harassment is like mailing a bloody knife to somebody with a note saying, "Tonight it all ends," or something like that. Or following you home and, I don't know, with a syringe and saying, "This is going in you." And, I don't know, sending you a fruitcake because, goddamn, dude, how terrible are you, a person, to send someone a fruitcake? But,
so, in other words, something that is actually harming another person or has the potential thereof.
Yeah, something that puts you in direct harm, something that makes you actually fear for your life, like syringes, knives, and fruitcake.
Yeah, completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Ban fruitcake now. Now,
hashtag ban fruitcake. Fruitcake gate.
Now, another question I have, I've noticed a lot of the Reddit mod politics, them discussing different things, going to different Reddit stuff based on stuff that you said on streams, and also based on what other people have said about stuff like shit Reddit says and other such things. What I noticed is an uncanny similarity between what's going on there and 8chan. Now, do you think that 8chan might fall for some of the same pitfalls, if it hasn't already?
I don't really use 8chan, so I occasionally visit it to browse like some of the video game boards, but I don't really know anything about what's going on there, so I really can't say
Okay.
whether or not it'll follow the same things.
Well, to give a TLDR version of it, like the board Intel will try to exaggerate this like to a ridiculous degree because all they want to do is see 8chan burn down to the ground, and I don't know what their modus up. I don't know why that is. I don't know if they're just trolling. Some people think they're from SRS.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, I can understand why they'd want 8chan to burn for two reasons. One, they don't control it, so everything they don't control has to burn anyway. And two, they can't control it because Frederick Brennan he's a badass, so they're not going to get to him. I mean, I don't know the guy. I've talked to him like once, and he seems like a tough dude. So I don't exactly think that they're gonna frighten him. So they know that they're not going to be able to control it. They can't control it, so the only thing they can do is burn it down.
Makes sense. But to get to the point I was getting at, there are though little cliques. Every forum has a clique. That should be obvious. The question is whether or not they're using their clique for undue influence or power, stuff like that. But pretty much every 8chan board has its own little IRC meeting place where they discuss things and they talk about things. Some of them are private, some of them not so private, and they decide how they're going to run their forum. And this has led to a lot of inter-forum politics, a lot of forum politics on those individual boards, and it's really interesting as a case study. And can that kind of mentality lead to 8chan becoming another Reddit?
I think that 8chan has a huge advantage over Reddit in that on Reddit anyone can make their own board, yes, but most people don't care to do that because it's much harder to find different subreddits because everyone uses the same subreddits and you can't advertise subreddits anywhere else, and there's really no official place to advertise them. Yeah, you have like new Reddits, you even have Subreddit of the Day, which I wrote for like 3 years, but they're all very bad ways of finding new Reddits. I mean, Subreddit of the Day is a pretty good one if you want to find things that the writers like. But if you want to find things that the writers don't care about, or you want to find things that are just not, amazing, and yeah, whatever. But 8chan, as far as I'm aware, has its boards. It has a board. So you click on that, and there's just tons of different things. And people are more willing to go to different boards and participate in low activity communities rather than on Reddit, where people only want to participate in communities with lots of activity because they just want to consume content rather than post content.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it descends into like this clique nature, I think that it would be stalled pretty quickly. Yeah,
Okay.
Cypher. Kotaku in Action was Subreddit of the Day. I did do that. People were kind of
cool.
pissed off at that. I stand by it being hilarious. I don't remember anything of what I said during that. But whenever people found out that I was writing it, they all assumed that it was satire, and I was just going to piss all over it like I did on a few other subreddits. But the satire that I used to do there, which I love doing, I love writing satire. It's just so funny being able to say just complete bullshit. But it was always for reasons either beyond my control or because I couldn't actually write anything good seriously. Like if I wanted, I satirized the conspiracy subreddit, which pissed a lot of people off because I really couldn't write that much about it. It was a large subreddit. Everyone knew what it was about, and if I was gonna go about it seriously, it would have caused incredible arguments of everyone, and I probably would have gotten demoted anyway. So I satirized it, and everyone got pissed at me rather than just fighting each other. But they all got pissed at like different things, and they're like, "Oh, he's probably just joking," whatever. So when people thought, "Hey, he's writing about KIA, he has to be satirizing it. It's going to be hilarious," but it wasn't, and that was the most hilarious thing of all.
That is funny. Did Nick Dent give you a raise after that?
What happened?
Oh,
I couldn't really hear you.
I was making a joke. There's like, never mind, failed.
Alright.
Yeah. So an issue that was brought up at the start of the stream about board drama between various Gamergate boards was brought up by Netscape. Actually, could you repeat that with a little bit more detail about like what that situation is?
What situation exactly?
Well, it started. I noticed it yesterday, but it's been going on for a couple days now. GG Revolt. A few people there have been brigading KIA, specifically to get Hatman and the fellow mods demoted and replace them with a new team.
OP killed Hat
At least,
Man.
yeah, that's their plan anyway, or that's what they say their plan is. So they've been going on and sending private messages to people, making Reddit accounts and sending private messages saying that the mods are censoring people. They need to post public threads denouncing the moderators. And they've been encouraging that.
Do you have any archives of that by any chance?
I actually have a screenshot, but I'm not sure I should share a private message like that.
Oh, well, if it's a private message you can't disclose, I would not recommend doing that. Like, the only exception would be something where you're whistleblowing something.
Well, it was he sent it to like 50 people, so it's not really that private.
I noticed something interesting that's kind of funny. I featured Kotaku in Action exactly 1 year after I featured Conspiracy, on March 8th, 2014 and 2015, respectively.
Nice. That is a funny coincidence.
I can screen share it now if you want.
I don't know if it's a coincidence. I mean, I featured Kotaku in Action on my birthday because I knew that it would just be more hilarious for me, you know? Because I probably wasn't going to be there all day anyway, and it wouldn't really matter all that much for me. And I probably did it for Conspiracy the same reason, because I just didn't feel like dealing with the backlash, and I just would like leave for half the day. But I find that hilarious. If you're interested in seeing them both, I can link them in the Google Hangout.
I always like a good bit of satire.
The Kotaku or the Conspiracy one is Kotaku.
Yeah.
The Conspiracy one is satire. The Kotaku in Action one is legit. A lot of people like the Kotaku in Action one. I actually think it's one of the better things I've ever written. Mostly because it's really, really long and has lots of words in it, so that's always nice.
Mm-hmm.
But the Conspiracy one, it was such a perfect piece of satire. Oh. It starts out with like a Martin Luther King quote, and it just gets better and better from there. I'm actually really proud of it. I don't normally like circle jerk over the things I write, but I love my satire. I do. If there's anything that I'm proud of, it's that. Just because of how the reaction that people get from it. I did the atheism subreddit the same way. Let me see if I can find that.
In before Fedora jokes.
Let me see. No, not this one.
All right. Well, what I was getting at was like I've noticed that like various Gamergate boards, like there's three names that always come up in this. There's other boards, but for some reason they typically don't enter the conversation. It's probably best that they don't. There's Kotaku in Action, Gamergate HQ, and GG Revolt. Now, Kotaku in Action, I personally don't have any issues with. I hear whispers and rumors about unfair practices or whatever, but I don't know how legitimate those claims are. I haven't really seen evidence to suggest that any of the mods there are acting in a way that's bad or anything like that. And I know Hatman isn't interested in like doing anything malevolent. He may be like I have actually criticized him for a couple of decisions, but when I pointed them out to them, he actually made a couple of changes. I think that actually particularly had to do with when he banned discussion on other Reddits and stuff like that. But then I point out that Reddit censorship issues has been an issue since the start of this whole thing. So he revised the rule to allow such discussions. What was it? But what I was getting at with the Gamergate boards, like, is there any way that can be resolved in the way that makes sense? Because I think the whole thing about Gamergate HQ and GG Revolt, I really do not like either one of those boards. And all they've been doing, like, not all they've been doing, but one particular activity they've been doing is basically demonizing each other, where they're basically at each other's throats, and they basically make the accusation that either GG Revolt is the cancer-killing Gamergate, or Gamergate HQ is the cancer-killing Gamergate. which are both.
Everything is cancer killing Gamergate.
Yeah.
I don't understand the people who say, "Oh, this is the cancer-killing Gamergate." Dude, the people who say the cancer-killing Gamergate are the cancer-killing Gamergate.
Yeah.
That's actually a very good point, really. Think about it.
Yeah, I think I like Pterodactyl's quote on this. Some people say this person's killing Gamergate. Some people say that person's killing Gamergate. But really, in all honesty, Gamergate should just kill itself. Which is a sentiment I can sympathize with. Yeah. But it's one of those things where people, instead of like having different boards, really isn't a problem, in my opinion. The problem is how people react to different boards, and constantly complaining about what other people are doing doesn't really help as much. It's one thing to criticize other certain actions of what people are doing, which you know me. If anyone knows me, they know that I don't like when people do things that I consider bad. So it's a weird situation, and if I was to have like ultimate sway into this, I just simply get rid of all the Gamergate boards and just have everyone migrate back to vPol and vPol Tech B Cow, because you don't really need all these other boards to you don't need a board specifically for this one issue, and you don't need like a community that's motivated and energized this way. The people will come when you post those threads. They'll say, "Hey, look, I can help with this, or I can do this, or I can contribute this to the discussion, or I can give you some links to this, which will be helpful to people." But instead of looking at it that way, they go into this kind of like sort of weird tribalism sort of thing, and it's just I can't stand it, and I hardly ever visit both boards as a result. And to answer what someone said in the chat, yes, Zan, who's appeared on a lot of these streams, he was a moderator at GG Revolt, but then he stepped down.
This is all going over my head because I don't really do anything with 8chan.
It's all stupid.
It is. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to that, but I figured since you've been around a lot of forums and stuff like that, you might be able to provide like maybe some insight on that or something. But
the only insight that needs to be provided is this: people are stupid. Moderators are stupider. Everyone sucks. Go make your own forum.
Sounds good to me.
I don't know what exactly you said because I wasn't really paying attention. I was just looking at some other Subreddit of the Day posts, and I'm sure it was on topic, though. So.
Yeah, I'll provide links to these posts at the bottom of the description after the stream closes down.
Mm-hmm. I really wish I could post links in the chat. I have a few different things I'd like to share, but I can't.
All right. Well,
it's a damn shame.
Is there any other news or stuff that anyone would like to bring up with Reddit Revolt? Or have we pretty much covered all the topics?
No.
Anything I can think of, really. I mean, we're just
following
the story as it develops.
Since this is winding down, I'm gonna get going. It's almost midnight. I've got some stuff to do before I can get out of here. So.
All right, that's fine. I think actually I'll be closing down the stream now. My closing thoughts on this is I think Reddit Revolt is one of the most hilarious and good things that have happened in a while, and I think it should continue. And I don't think that's going to be a case of everyone just going to go home. I think it's going to be a case of how far Reddit Revolt goes is going to be up to the Redditors who are upset with the current antics of the moderation and the administration of this website. So if you want to see things change, you have to be the change you want to see. And on that note, one last thing. I want to see more propaganda about this Reddit Revolt stuff because I think that'd be hilarious and it would be fun to see. So if some of you people are artistically inclined, get to work on that. Otherwise, I think we hit all the points and we can go and we can finish up unless anyone has any other topics or things they want to say before I end things.
Nope.
Big old nope from me, man. We're just kind of just waiting on it all to develop.
All right then. Have a good night, everybody, and see you next time.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks
Anytime.
for having me.
Sure.